In addition to wax resist and tape resist, another fun way to decorate pots is with a brush, and also with making various kinds of, in effect, block prints with different objects. And I'm going to just show you a few. I'm going to work on this newsprint. This is the ubiquitous bubble wrap, and I'm going to stick it down in a bucket of black slip, give it a little shake. If you want to go dark, you need to dip it quite often. If you want it to lighten out, you need to do a few. But it gives you a nice sort of animal print repeat pattern, which you can lay in right next to each other, or you can put in as separate units. Great stuff, bubble wrap. And when you're done with it, you can wash it off and wrap your pots with it. This is the part of a bag that came with a set of new sheets some years ago, and I've been using it ever since for a variety of different things. One thing you can do is to put this down on top of, if you can imagine this as being a pot for a minute, put this down on top of a pot and then wipe something across it. It'll show up after a bit. Kind of a honeycomb effect. Another thing that I've done more often with it is to do basically what I did with the bubble wrap, which is to get it wet, dip it in a color, and then dab it on a pot. So you need to work with your material at hand a little bit to get the right amount of colorant and decide where you want to put it on the pot. And then these are the sort of the cheapest kind of throwing sponges. This one we took I say we because my husband actually did it. He took a razor blade to it and cut out this pattern. And this is red iron oxide. Red iron oxide is very nice on a couple of the glazes that I have. So you can dip it and make patterns. If you look around your kitchen and your pantry and your linen closet, you're likely to find a number of things with pattern that can be dipped into something and then blopped onto a pot. And then of course there's actual brushwork. So I'm going to do some of that on pots. Before you go commit yourself to putting a pattern on a pot, it's a great idea to loosen your hand up and make sure that you've got the right titration. Things are flowing well by practicing first on the paper before you start doing it on the pot. For example, with this brush, if I want to, I can wet it down and bring it to a fine point, but if I want to have more of a divided line, like that, I just don't get it as wet. And you can see this is sort of a brush that's been through a lot with me. I often use it for wax, so it's not as happy as it used to be as a brush, but its suffering can lead to some nice results. I have a glaze that I believe came from John Britt's book originally that looks great with red iron oxide both under it and over it. This is a bisque pot that's been waxed, and I'm going to take my sponge and do some decoration on it. Oops, there we go. Now I'm not going to be able, once I've put the glaze on, to see where these first starburst patterns went. And that's okay with me because I'm not worried about that. If you want to be able to not do your top coat over your bottom coat, what I generally do if that's what I want is to draw a line and write on the bottom of the pot and do all my undercoat on one half and all my top coat on the other half. But the truth is that I'm not doing anything especially pictorial, so if they overlap, it's not going to bother me. When this red iron oxide is underneath the glaze, it sort of burns through in a, I would say, at its best, it looks kind of like a cave painting. It looks a little faded. You can pick it out, but it's a little mysterious looking. When it's on the top, it's a great deal more literal. So when you do a little of both, one of my students who draws a lot of horses on her pots had this magnificent pot with this combination where some of the horses looked like they were off in the distance in the mist and some of them were in the foreground. You don't always get that lucky. Now the first one I dripped there, if that bothers you, and I can't say that honestly that it bothers me, but I will show you that if it bothers you, you can wash it off. You can't wash it off on top of the glaze unless you choose to wash the whole pot off, which is always an option. You can just start from scratch, wash it all off and try again. So I'm going to put this aside now, dip it in the sand matte glaze, and then do a second set of these patterns on top of it.